so today I have something special for you. So Polaroid came out with a new camera called the Polaroid Flip, which is right here. It's a brand new camera and it has the same design as the old Polaroids. They have the flip up top. So not only does it have the flip top, but this also protects the lens, so you can put this into your bag and not have to worry about the lens getting scratched. So let's just take a quick tour around the camera and discover some of the features and why this is such a great camera, because it is packed with a bunch of features. So for starters, you have the flip top, but that's not all. It also has a screen in the back. So here is the amount of photos I have left, which is 4, and that the flash is on. Now to take note here is that the flash is always on unless you press the flash button here, and then it will turn the flash off. Also with this camera, it comes with 4 separate lenses that rotate into place. So when you aim the camera at something and half press the shutter button, the appropriate lens will flip into place, and that's the sound you just heard. So this allows you to get close to objects as well as get stuff from infinity, and this gives you a sharper focus, and these are some sharp photos which you'll see later. So that's really great about the camera. And what's also great is you're not going to waste your film, because this has a red light indicator in the back, which tells you a couple things. So if I take a picture and it's too close to a certain subject, the red light will blink. So it would be right on the back here by the viewfinder. It'll blink right into your eye so you know something's wrong. And then the LCD screen up here will then tell you what's wrong. So a C would mean that you're too close to something. So you just have to back away a little bit and recompose. Then for exposure, the red light will blink, and then on the LCD screen it will tell you if it's under or overexposed, and you could adjust appropriately by either turning on the flash or just changing the lighting settings. There's a couple functions this camera has. So there's a button right above the flash button. So one press will give you a self timer. A long press will bring up the under or overexposed, so it's by half stop, so you can either bring it a half stop above or a half stop below. So once you long press it, you can then single press it and it'll move the bar up for overexposed or down for underexposed, a half stop. Then if you double tap that button, you'll get double exposure. So that kind of makes sense. You double tap, get double exposure. So that's what that button does. Also on the camera here, right here is a sonar for the sonar focus. Right here is the lens. Here's the shutter button. This is where the film will come out. And this is where you view out of. So this is something you got to keep in mind. So this is where you're looking out of, and this is the lens. So there is parallax going on here, which we'll talk about later. Because I'm going to give you some tips that not a lot of people talk about, but it'll make using this so much better. I just talked about the sonar focus. Now, something to keep in mind is if you want to take a selfie, and I see this all over the internet, people are taking selfies with this camera and they're coming out blurry, because the sonar is actually going past your head. Because when you aim the lens right at your head, the sonar is offset, and that way it's going to go past your head and wind up focusing on the background. So that could be infinity or a couple feet away from your head, so that photo is going to be blurry. So to fix this, you have to move the camera so the sonar is right at your face, half press the shutter, and then you can move the camera and center the lens on yourself. That way you'll have perfect focus on your face. So I'll show you an example here of what I'm talking about. So on this photo, the picture is blurry because it focused behind me. But on this photo, I aimed the sonar at me and then moved the lens after half pressing the shutter, then fully depressed the shutter, and got this picture, which is fully in focus. I felt like this was very important because a lot of people online were taking selfies of themselves and saying that this camera couldn't take selfies because it was blurry. But I just want to put it out there, you can take selfies. Also to note, I don't see this often, but there is a place to mount your tripod. So a lot of people don't talk about that. You can mount this on a tripod, and then you could take pictures without hand holding the camera. Also, just something I learned that's more about the film rather than the camera, but I noticed a lot of the pictures I was taking that there was some like burn marks on the bottom of the photo, which you can see here. And to mitigate this on bright sunny days, when the photo comes out, leave the photo under the film shield for about 20 seconds. Flip your camera upside down, so you're going to flip your Polaroid Flip, and take the film out and then put it into your pocket. That way it doesn't get any sun during the most sensitive part of the film development. And this is just a way to avoid those light burns at the bottom of the film. Also, just film wise rather than camera, is that when you're doing manual exposure, so yes, this camera has manual exposure, and you could do that by going into the app, and you could do aperture priority, shutter priority, or full on manual. And at this, you want to meter for the highlights rather than the shadows, which you're used to doing with film, because the highlights could be blown out very easy with this camera. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, talking about exposure, this is a big tip. When you get your Polaroid Flip, you must update it. That means download the app, connect it to your camera, which is super easy. You just open the app, turn on the camera, and it automatically connects, and download the update. Because if you do not do this, all your photos will be overexposed and you're going to get frustrated. So once you do this update, all the photos will be perfect, but you have to do that update. So please update your camera when you get it. Also, talking about exposure and the manual exposure, I would suggest always using auto exposure with this camera. The camera has different light intensities for the flash, so it's going to pick the right intensity for the scene, so you don't have to worry about the flash, and it's also going to expose the scene without the flash. And it does a very good job at both, and I would trust the camera, because the manual, you're going to have to go in the app and it's just a little more work, where this camera is a beast when it comes to automatically exposing your photos. So enjoy the auto mode, enjoy just being in the moment and taking those memories. So I'm going to show you some example photos, and these example photos I've done about 2 packs of 600 film, 2 packs of I-type film, and then I did 1 pack, well, I'm halfway through the pack of black and white I-type film. So I'm going to show you some pictures and the results, and we'll just go over how they came out, why they came out a certain way, and how we could fix them. So this photo here was taken outside in the shade, and the flash was used just to light up the subjects. Not only do you have the background nicely exposed, but the subjects are nicely exposed. There's a little bit of overexposure in the skin, probably because the flash reflectance, but overall it did a great job with this scene. These 2 photos were taken on expired film, but I just included them here because it really shows how sharp this lens could get, and I felt like these 2 photos were pretty sharp for a portrait. That was pretty close up. These 2 photos are nature photos, and you can see that like film burn I was talking about on the bottom. So if I would have left it in the shield a little bit longer, it would have mitigated that. Then also there was like these tiny granular spots within the photos, and I contacted Polaroid about that, and they told me that it was just like a bad batch of film. So the chemistry in these photos, I also see them online that people are getting these dots. They're not from the camera, and they're from a very specific film batch of 600 film. So if you have that problem, that's where it's coming from. I-type film I have not seen this with, so I think I just had a bad batch, as well as the other people online. These 3 photos were taken on an overcast day, so there's a lot of blue that came out, and then I got these fern marks in the corner. I think it was from me grabbing the photo in a certain way, because after I adjusted how I took the photos out, I stopped seeing this fern mark. But these did pretty well on an overcast day, and again, once very sharp photos. This photo was taken indoors with a flash, and overall it's well exposed and very sharp. And these are some black and white photos. So this one was taken with a flash outside. Once again, very sharp, well exposed. These 2, I tried to push the camera to its limits here, and I had a very bright background. So when taking Polaroid photos, you want to make sure the sun is behind you. In these photos, the sun was behind the subject rather than the person taking the pictures. And I did not use the compensation, so normally you would overexpose it. In this case, it would be overexposed a half step if you're using the button on the camera, but I didn't compensate at all, just to see how they come out. This last photo was taken in a restaurant indoors with the flash, and once again, it's a very sharp photo, and I guess this is the new black and white chemistry, and I really like how the black and white photos are coming out. I still have 4 more to go through, and I'm actually really excited to do more black and white photos, and I think they're gonna come out pretty good. I just want to talk about how the sonar works. So the sonar emits a sound wave that comes out of the camera, and it bounces off the subject and goes back to the camera. The camera does some calculations and determines how far the subject is from the camera. So the way this focus works, you have to keep in mind that if you're shooting through a window, it's going to wind up taking the window as the distance rather than the person behind it, because those waves are going to bounce off the window rather than the person behind it. So that's some stuff to keep in mind. Also, the parallax I talked about. If you're a little closer to your subject, you want to half press with the sonar straight at the subject, and then you can move the lens into place, and that's going to give you a good focus. But once you get the sonar down, it works beautiful. It rarely misses as long as you know what you're working with and you know your tools. So I hope you enjoyed this little review and a little tour of the camera. And I feel like if you're debating on what Polaroid camera to go with, this I would think is your go-to, because it has more features than the baseline cameras. It has a little less features than the i2 camera, but it's really priced for the consumer, and it has everything you would want from it. And I feel like its autofocus as well as auto exposure does a lot better than the lower line cameras, and it just allows you to go out and have fun and not have to worry about how to expose your pictures. Are they going to come out? You have that red light that's going to let you know if you're too close, it's going to be out of focus, or if it's going to be over or underexposed. So you kind of know the photo coming out is going to look good, which kind of gives you peace of mind, because these photos take a little while to develop, and you might not be able to recreate that photo if it doesn't come out well. So if you're in the market for a Polaroid camera, look at the Polaroid Flip. And if you have any more questions or would like to see more things from this camera, let me know and I'll make another video or answer your comments. And like I said, I'm still going through the other half of the black and white film, and I still have a bunch of packs of film in the fridge that I'm going to go shoot in different locations around Long Island, and I might make another video demonstrating that. Also, if you have more questions about the Polaroid film itself, I have a video on that with some experiments that you could see. And then also I have a YouTube short you can look at of me taking this camera to the beach, which are the 3 photos I showed you taken on an overcast day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. And thank you for watching.